Tyson Fury with the biggest punch in his career, he makes it look easy. Dillian Whyte gets knocked out in the 6th round by a perfectly placed uppercut that puts him out. And no, it was not the first uppercut Tyson Fury threw. He actually threw multiple uppercuts in the fight, to the body, to the head, from southpaw to orthodox, but every single time he was getting either close to landing it, or he did land it. There was a big one from the southpaw stance they landed on Dillian Whyte, and also with the fact that Dillian does not do well against uppercuts. I mean, nearly every time he's gotten hurt, it has been by the uppercut. From Joseph Parker and Alexander Povetkin, Dillian Whyte does not see uppercuts too well, and a big reason as to why is, you always notice in his orthodox stance, he keeps his left hand rather low. Right hand is usually high, he tries to parry jabs, but he probes his left hand low, which automatically gives him a bit of a disadvantage against uppercuts, and also with the fact in this fight is, he was much slower than Tyson Fury. Right in the beginning of the fight, first round, Fury threw out a jab and completely caught Dillian Whyte off guard. The speed of Fury right away showed to be too much for Dillian to handle, because it wasn't just that. Jabs were landing in the open for Tyson. He was evading everything Dillian Whyte was throwing. Left hooks were getting evaded, body shots were getting dodged, jabs were getting slipped, right overhands were getting olayed. Dillian was barely able to land a meaningful strike in this entire fight. Tyson Fury showed to be just way too good. I mean, there was even a moment in that second round where Dillian Whyte was moving forward, but he didn't give a hint like he was going to throw a specific shot. He was just moving forward. But look at Tyson Fury's defense. He puts up a tight right guard and extending his lead hand forward. He already knew it was going to be a left hook. He put up a tight right guard all the way up on the right side of his head. He knew a left hook was going to come way before it even did. And this showed he knew what Dillian Whyte was all about. Another great example of Tyson Fury's defense and just knowing everything that Dillian Whyte was doing. He put up a tight right guard, seeing a wind up on that left hook, blocked it to the body. So this time he didn't actually raise it too high on his head. He lowered it just enough where he can block his chin and liver and ribs. While he blocks it, he lands a check left hook on the other side and sees that wind up of a right overhand and easily evades it. He was also starting to parry most of the body jabs and starting to smother the overhand rights. So instead of leaning away from him this time, he was so confident he would actually just move in on the overhands, blocking it, smothering it in. And I love the moment in the 4th round where he pulls away from the left hook. It reminded me a lot of Muhammad Ali's pull on Joe Frazier's left hook, that famous picture. Tyson Fury almost mimicked the same thing. And it eventually got so bad that Dillian Whyte was way overextending on his shots, really desperate for that knockout blow, where he was throwing literally his whole body behind it, making it extremely sloppy. And because of his narrow stance, he had to dig in all the way like this in order to cross the distance. The overhand got easily dodged, pulled back on, and because of the overextension, the amount of weight he put behind it, he falls into the ropes and Tyson Fury starts to mock him. This was an absolutely masterclass performance from Tyson Fury. Made Dillian Whyte look like he did not belong in there with him, especially when you start to look at the details of the technique in the fight and what Tyson Fury was actually doing in there. When you really start to look at how technical Tyson Fury was, you really start to understand how much better Tyson Fury actually was in there. Now, the fight itself was kind of slow early on. For the most part, Dillian Whyte was just missing most of his shots, and Tyson Fury was landing jabs and check left hooks. From the 1st round, progressively to the 6th round, he was getting more frustrated and more desperate to land his power shots, to the point where he was like tripping forward throwing his right hand. But not only that, the fight was getting dirty. There was a lot of stuff getting thrown in here that was not allowed. Elbow strikes, back of the head shots, headbutts, water getting thrown from the corner in there, stepping on the shoe on purpose, backhands. It looked like this was about to be a Lethway fight. But the reason why Tyson Fury started to get dirty was because Dillian would start to land punches to the back of the head. And you can see it start to bother Tyson Fury. I mean, how wouldn't it? Dillian tried to land an elbow strike, he threw more back of the head shots, and I think Dillian Whyte was doing this out of frustration because he couldn't land his punches. And it looked like Fury was just retaliating. He was like, okay, you're going to be dirty and the ref is going to allow you to be dirty. I got to do something back, because there was one egregious moment in the clinch where the ref actually got in between them, but instead of holding Dillian Whyte, he just held Tyson Fury. In fact, he held Fury's right arm back. He was holding it back from allowing Fury to defend himself. And at the same time, as the ref made Tyson Fury defenseless, Dillian Whyte lands a left hook on him. So now, okay, the ref is holding me back, and he's letting Dillian Whyte punch me in the face. I gotta do something here. So Tyson just headbutts him and pushes him away with his left hand. I mean, this guy used to fight in the streets before, with not much rules, before he became a professional boxer. So he was already familiar with his environment. So what did he start to do? Land shots to the back of the head of Dillian Whyte, and even stepping on his shoe on purpose. Dillian pointing down in his shoe, and you can see Tyson Fury telling him, yeah, Yeah, I did. And Fury at another time backhanded him. It was wild to see the ref hold Tyson Fury like that and just let Dillian punch him in the face. Now, there were a few accidental headbutts in the fight where both guys seemed to be at fault. Dillian's winging a big strike and Tyson Fury's trying to duck under it. They meet heads. Maybe Dillian thought that Tyson did that on purpose, but it looked accidental from both sides. At the end of the day, Tyson Fury is just too good. And just like I said before the fight, Dillian Whyte was going to look like an average heavyweight in front of Tyson Fury. He didn't really have anything special that Fury hasn't seen before. Yeah, some people were talking about the left hook, but he has to find the range. He has to find the opening. He has to be able to get through the guard. He has to be able to set it up perfectly. People thought probably from the body shots, but the reach alone was making it hard for Dillian to enter on him, and Dillian was having too high of a narrow stance. Against someone who's so much taller than him, this was never going to work out because when you dig in for punches, specifically to the body, you're going to have to start reaching. It would have been a lot better for Dillian Whyte to actually lower his stance more, bend at the knees, instead of standing straight up. And also, this tall stance makes Dillian Whyte an easy target, especially from Tyson Fury's jabs, because he can't naturally lean away from stuff or dodge stuff getting off angles when you're standing so tall. And ultimately, it made the uppercut so easy for Fury to land, which is what we're going to start off with first. So yes, Fury was throwing uppercuts the entire fight. In the southpaw stand, he landed a few good ones, and the first time he threw it from the orthodox stance to the body, he saw the opening. This was in the 5th round, the round before the knockout. He threw the long left hook to set up for his right hand, and as the uppercut is coming through, he sees the angle to the head. Notice how Fury never gets his eyes off of Whyte, while Whyte is looking at the ground, showing a lot of respect to Tyson Fury's power. By looking at Whyte's defense, he notices the upward angle to the head. And also throughout the whole fight, he noticed that Dillian Whyte was constantly keeping his left hand down, and in the knockout sequence, Dillian made a mistake of marching his way in with that tall stance slowly on Tyson Fury, and gave an even bigger opening for Tyson to connect through that angle with the uppercut, knocking him out, putting together one of the best placed punches of Tyson Fury's entire career. But it did not look like the general pattern of the fight, because for the majority of the fight, Tyson Fury was just letting his jab and left hook win the fight for him. Dillian was not able to react to the jabs, and whenever he was moving forward with his own jabs, Fury was able to easily slip on the outside of him, landing his check left hook. And what you have to notice about this is, no, Dillian didn't do anything wrong with his guard necessarily. When he was throwing the jabs forward, he had a good fundamental defense of his right hand, holding it up to his head as he did the entire fight. Remember, Dillian Whyte had a good thing of keeping that right hand up, but his left hand was usually low. But Fury was so precise. Every single time he was getting around the guard, every time he was landing behind the ear and toward the back of the jaw area, he knew where to place his punch the entire fight. And it would have to address Dillian to change up his guard a little bit, give a little bit different of an angle, which he never really did. But if he were to have done so, I'm pretty sure Tyson would have started landing in front of the guard instead of behind it, considering how great his precision was. Wasn't just with the left hook. He was landing overhands over the shoulder, his right straight was finding through a tight space through the guard, and Fury was finding body shots right under the arms with great setups going to the head first, which raises Whyte's guard, exposing the body. Fury's precision today was perfect, sniper-like, and a lot of credit to his trainer Sugar Hill Stewart, who polished his hands specifically for his power shots. And not just setting up body shots, Tyson Fury has some beautiful setups to a lot of things he was doing. For an example, one of his better setups was in the 4th round, where he was on the back foot and Dillian was trying to find that big left hook, kind of naked and didn't really set it up too well, and allowed Tyson Fury to easily block the left hook. And just like usually, Fury goes and counters him with his own left hook that seems to get around the guard just a little bit, but he didn't have enough range to bend at the elbow to dig behind the guard. But here's something that Dillian Whyte did not notice. When Tyson Fury threw the left hook, he actually switched backwards at the same time. So now he's in southpaw and Dillian is extending with his lead arm. The reason why Tyson Fury switched into the southpaw stance is because remember that Dillian always keeps his right hand up, ready to block and to parry jabs. And Tyson knows it's very unsafe for an orthodox fighter to parry southpaw fighters' jabs with their right hand, because if they do so, they're creating an opening for the southpaw fighter to land with their left behind it. And also with the fact that Dillian is already extending his left hand, he cannot even parry this jab at all. He's gonna have to eat it. He's also, again, much slower than Tyson Fury, as this has been proven throughout the whole fight. So he eats the jab, and right behind it comes a left uppercut that also lands on Dillian Whyte, backing him away. Tyson Fury starts nodding, just pure confidence coming out of him. And just to make it worse, Dillian attacked him right after, trying to get it back. He throws out a jab which Tyson easily slips, and then while his head is on the outside, Whyte was pretty confident He had the right angle to catch Tyson Fury with his right overhand, only for that to get slipped as well. That has to be so discouraging, man. You have the perfect angle on the guy, but he's just so much faster than you, it doesn't even matter. Or if we go into the third round, Dillian Whyte is on the offensive again, and due to his narrow stance, he has to reach in all the way in to throw his right hand to the body, which Tyson Fury angles on it with his body, making it slide right past him because before the right hand comes out there, notice how Tyson's stance, his body, is more squared in front of Dillian Whyte. But as he angles it and turns to his side, the target becomes a lot smaller, and that's why Dillian misses the shot. Tyson does miss the left hook. Dillian Whyte actually perfectly blocks it with his shoulder, which makes the opening for a continued attack, chaining up the combo for Dillian Whyte, all the more encouraging. So he overextends and switches stances into a big left overhand, which Tyson Fury also mimics. Tyson Fury switches stances backwards to match Dillian Whyte, ultimately creating enough space between them two for the left overhand to miss. And Dillian Whyte gets so off balance, throwing all of his power into that blow. Tyson Fury notices it, rebounds off the ropes, sets up his uppercut off a jab. The uppercut lands perfect. Or one of the basic setups from Tyson Fury, just throws out a 3-2 combination. At this moment of the fight, he already knew that Dillian had a good right guard, so he knew he was going to block that left hook, which is why Tyson Fury threw a quick right straight right behind it, very small of an interval between the two punches, and he also knew that Dillian was going to angle off counterclockwise just a little bit while putting up the right guard to block the punch perfectly. But at the same time, this creates a natural opening for the right straight to connect through. Even if Dillian wanted to retract his angle, he would still have gotten caught. And Tyson went even further with a similar kind of combination. Again, knowing that Dillian Whyte has a good right guard, he starts to overload the activity on it. He starts pestering on that right guard, throwing out jabs, left hooks, just flicking stuff out there at it, putting a lot of attention on Dillian Whyte's right side. And in the meantime, he is winding up big on his own right hand. Dillian thought it was going to be a headshot, as all these pestering shots on the other side are to the head. This causes Dillian to raise up the guard, exposing the body. And this potentially ends the traditional boxing career of Tyson Fury. It looks like he wants to fight Francis Ngannou, and Ngannou is up to fight him. As we know, Ngannou is about to be a free agent pretty soon, and they're looking to fight each other with MMA gloves in a boxing ring. That should be interesting, but I do think Tyson Fury should win for sure. I'm glad to see Francis Ngannou get the money that he deserves. It looks like if Fury is going to compete, it's going to be like these fun fights, not necessarily trying to compete with the other heavyweights in the boxing world. It is a shame. I would love to see him fight Anthony Joshua and Usyk. A lot of people believe that Usyk will beat him. I personally think no heavyweight can beat Tyson Fury, and potentially he's one of the best heavyweights we've ever seen before. But if this is the end of his career, it was one way to end it, in front of 94,000 of his own people, with the perfect placed punch to end it all. He had a legendary career, retiring undefeated. I would like to say undisputed, but there's like 100 titles for each division. So I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown, and if you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. If you enjoyed my content, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.